everyone. We are Maryland SNAP Ed, and welcome to our Making the Most of School Meals Facebook Live series. So this is a series of cooking demos that we're doing using components from school meals that are being distributed to every child in Maryland is eligible. Every child under the age of 18 is eligible to pick up a free school meal. And they're being distributed all sorts of ways across the state. And we recognize that once those meals come into the home, we hope the kids are eating those breakfasts and lunches and enjoying them. But some of the components might not be eaten right away, and you have the opportunity to save them. And so we're featuring some new and different ways that you might turn these into kid-friendly recipes that can stretch your food budget even further. So we are joined by Jessica Conjure. She is our SNAP Ed educator in Charles County. How are you doing, Jessica? And can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with meals in Charles County through the school system?
Hey, good morning, Krista. Yes, thank you. So Charles County has a pretty extensive meal delivery system. We have two different options. There is curbside, which you can pick up from 7 to 8 a.m. at select elementary, middle, and high schools. They also have another shift from 10:30 to 1:30 where you can pick up. And they've just recently added on mobile meals as well. Those go Monday through Friday from 10:30 to 1. And we're going to put the link to the website in the chat so you can check that out, see which one is closest to you. And they also have an incredible map that shows the curbside and mobile locations as well.
Great. Wow. Yeah, that's really impressive what the schools have done during the pandemic to help families stretch their food budgets. I just know here in Baltimore County, just to give a snapshot of how things are different, that Baltimore County is distributing 2 days a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, but each of those days are covering the full week. So on Mondays, meals for Monday and Tuesday, and on Wednesdays, it's 3 meals, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, breakfast and lunch. I would like to encourage everybody that's joining us to chime in the chat and post where you're joining us from. If you're in Maryland, what county in Maryland you're joining us from, or if you're from further afield, you can list your city and state. We'd love to know who's joining us. And throughout the presentation, please enter your comments. We'll address them periodically, your questions and then comments, and interact with one another, because I think there's a lot of knowledge out there that might be helping. You guys can help each other figure out this system. So I did want to mention, Jessica, you talked about the meals being distributed, the extensive number of meals being distributed from Charles County. To really just underscore that for families, everybody is eligible that has kids to pick up these meals. Parents can pick up on behalf of their kids. It's awesome that Charles County is doing 2 pickup times a day that can help families work around their schedules. But if you think about the average cost of a school meal, if you were to pay full price, is around $3. If a school system is doing 2 meals a day, that's $6 a day. 5 days a week, that's $30 a week per child. Those are meals you don't have to make, and then that's money left in your food budget that you can use to stretch the money you're spending at the grocery store. And school systems like Charles County are able to provide even more meals and more value than that. So this is something we really hope that families are taking advantage of, and school food service wants to see the kids too. They miss you guys. So with all of that in mind, and another welcome to everyone, and thanks for sharing your locations in the comments. Keep them coming. Let's talk about what we're featuring today. What's our highlighted ingredient from school meals that you'll be cooking with?
Sure. So today we're focusing on dried cranberries, but there's also a few portions of this meal that may be served through your school meals as well. I know Charles County recently has been doing a lot of salads. So the lettuce that we use today, the apples that we use today, or any other fresh fruit may also be a part of your school meals, and the dried cranberries or some other dried fruits that you have. And it's a super simple recipe as well, only 5 or 6 ingredients, and especially one that even our youngest of friends can help us with as well.
Yeah, and we'll be highlighting some of those ideas for getting kids involved in preparing this meal, because that's another way to encourage kids to eat healthy food, is to get them involved in the kitchen. It encourages their curiosity about the food and gets them interacting with it. So with that, again, welcome to anyone who just joined us. This is Maryland SNAP Ed, making the most of school meals. And I'm going to ask Jessica to go ahead and get started with preparing this tasty salad.
For sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we have about 5 to 6 ingredients. I say 5 to 6 because one is optional. So I am going to start here and lay out the ingredients for you on my cutting board so you can see them. So we have, of course, our lettuce. I'm going to go down our recipe here. We have 1 medium apple. We have 1/3 of a cup of walnuts. These are our optional ingredient. And I'll go over more about those in just a moment. 3/4 cups of dried cranberries and 1/4 cup of green onions, which is about 1 green onion. And then a low-fat vinaigrette or whatever dressing that you have on hand. So as I mentioned, I'll go through some more of those too. I'm going to set these to the side and then we can get started preparing with our lettuce. So you'll see here that I have a whole head of romaine lettuce. You can really use whatever lettuce that you have on hand. Or if it's not even lettuce, you could go kale or any other greens, red lettuce, you know, be creative. It's your salad. You can put in whichever greens that you like, or if you have a salad that comes with your school meal, whatever greens that they've put in there. So I am going to start by chopping our lettuce. I'm going to use a crab knife here. You could also use a lettuce knife or even a table knife that might have some teeth on it, a serrated edge there. And I'm going to start by making my claw so I don't get any fingers in my meal here, and take off the bottom of my lettuce. So you will see that you are left with this bottom piece here, and we're going to put a link in the comments as well, because you can take this and regrow some lettuce. So if you have the option of having the whole head, it's a nice, not only experiment for you, but a cool way to grow some more of your own food and another cost-saving measure.
Yeah, so we'll put a link to that video of how to regrow lettuce as well as some other veggies from scraps. We'll put a link to that in the comments, and that's just another way to get kids interested in food. Now, you're not going to grow enough to, feed a giant salad to your whole family, but as you get kids understanding where food comes from and interested in the process, it makes fruits and veggies something, that they're more interested, more curious about. I love little gardening experiments like that.
And speaking of
that
getting
crab knife
involved,
that crab knife does a nice
job. Yeah, it's actually doing quite decent. And the nice part is it's not going to cut you as well. And as we were mentioning as well, for getting our younger friends involved, I'm using the knife, and this is a great time, like you were mentioning, to practice knife skills. That it's a tool, not a toy. But this is also something that our friends can easily just practice their fine motor skills and start ripping apart the leaves as well. And even if you already have a salad that's prepared that came in your school meal, if you have younger friends, they can make them even smaller. So we are going to put this into my bowl here. And while I have rinsed these, and a big note to make sure that we wash all of our produce, I'm going to wash those again, just to ensure that I get off all of that, any of the dirt or sand or anything else that might be on there. All right, and our next ingredient is our apple. Again, you can use your crab knife for this, or if you have a handy dandy corer that's nice, puts it into 8 slices for you. And with this one, you can just cut down this side. Remember, we're always trying to get a flat surface, to leave that flat. And then our friends can also help you chop this up. I have some by the TV Magic here that I have pre-sliced, and you will notice that they have actually, we have very little browning there because I put on some lemon juice. So that is a great way to preserve your apple slices. They also sell some specially made powders and things like that to preserve your apples. And if anybody else has any other ideas that they've used to preserve their apples, I'd love to know if you want to throw those into the comments.
Yeah, there's also, I think, certain varieties that stay brighter than others after chopping. So it's another good reason to check out different varieties of apples. While you're chopping, just want to welcome anybody who just joined us. This is Maryland Snap Ed, making the most of school meals. We're making apple cranberry salad toss, featuring dried cranberries and also apples, both which appear in school meals. Please introduce where you're from in the comments, and thanks to everybody who's been sharing information about school meal pickup in the various counties across Maryland. Your school district is the best source of information for your county's specific distribution days and locations. But all counties in Maryland are offering free school meals to all youth 18 and under.
Chris, I wanted to mention, you talked about varieties of apples. What I used was a gala apple, but you could really use whatever either comes in the meals or whatever you have on hand. Anyone would really work. And as we mentioned before, if you don't have apples, I know that Charles County has also included pears, or if they're oranges, you know, any other type of fruit. Like we said, it's your time to be creative and try out whatever fruit that you'd like. And the next ingredient that I have here, I'm going to put it on my cutting board so you can see, are the walnuts. Now, there may be allergies, or if you don't have access to these, that's totally okay. You could put in some sunflower seeds or totally omit this, leave it out altogether. So these are to be chopped. You will see that mine are kind of chopped already, but this is also something that our friends could help with, you know, just crush them down a little bit smaller. You can even use the crab knife for this. I'm going to get those off of my cutting board there. That was 1/3 of a cup of walnuts. And I also want to go ahead.
Sunflower seeds are something I see often in school meals, and those are another option for adding crunch, or pumpkin seeds. I want to thank Lynn for commenting that orange juice can be used to keep apples from browning. So if you have a little carton of orange juice that may have come with your school meals, you can add them. Lorian also offered that lettuce can be chopped just with a regular plastic knife that her 4-year-old uses. And also just want to encourage folks to continue adding questions. Welcome to Deborah from Ohio. That's our furthest flung participant so far. So, and welcome to everyone else from across Maryland that's chimed in.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for joining us. And in terms of preserving these can all be chopped up ahead of time, your lettuce, apples, everything like that, for either for your kids to mix in together themselves. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we go over the dressing too. So next we have our cranberries. I'm going to put them on my cutting board there for you to see. This is a 3/4 cup of dried cranberries. So this is going to be about 3 of the bags of cranberries if you get them in the small bags. And for the apples, that would probably be about a bag of apples if you get the bags of sliced apples. So we can set those to the side. Next, we have our green onions. So I've got mine here. This can be another science project or growing project for you. If you cut off the bottom of your green onion, right, it has the roots on it there that you can actually plant or put in water to start growing. And with the rest of this, we are going to continue slicing. Now, green onions are easier for our friends to slice than yellow, red, sweet onions. However, if you do not have green onions, those could also be put in place. You may just want to use less because they have a little bit of a stronger flavor to them. And you'll see the crab knife also can still pretty decently go through these as well. So I'm just going to work my way up the stem here. And the 1/4 cup of green onions, as I mentioned, is about 1 whole green onion.
I like how you mentioned that you could leave the elements unassembled, and then that gives kids some options. Letting kids serve themselves is another great way to get them interested in trying new foods and in healthy foods. Is they can be a little bit more in control. So setting this up as a salad bar and letting your kids make their own salad is a great way you could go about it.
Exactly. And some of our friends might not be huge onion fans, maybe not of yet, or maybe just not at all. So some of these ingredients, exactly, you can pick and choose as you'd like. So our very last bit, of course, is the dressing. So our recipe calls for a low-fat vinaigrette. So what we're going to do today is actually borrow a vinaigrette recipe from our fruit and spring green salad. It's a very simple recipe. It calls for 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So if you don't have lemon juice, you could also use apple cider vinegar, or if you have limes, maybe you want to switch up the flavor a little bit. It then has 2 tablespoons of oil. I've used olive oil. You could use vegetable oil or really whatever you have on hand. And then 1 tablespoon of honey. So I've got some honey here that I'm going to add in, and we are actually going to mix this in a jar. So I have a small glass jar here. If you have, I've done this, and you'll see right here, like a takeaway container, anything that has a tight lid, because at the end we get to have the fun of shaking it all together. And we want to make sure there's a tight lid so we don't end up with salad dressing all over the kitchen. So I'm going to go ahead and pour those in there. So 2 parts of your lemon juice or acid, whatever you have, 2 parts of oil, and then 1 part honey, or 1 tablespoon as we're going to use here. And then I'm also going to add in salt and pepper. That's really to your taste. So you can add more or less. And then if you want to get really fancy, or maybe one of our friends that might be growing some basil, you could add in some additional herbs. Now I did put oil into my tablespoon here, but you'll see I may have a sweet treat that I'll have to lick the rest off there later. And my salt and pepper. And now the fun part, and this is especially one where our friends can help out. First, make sure somebody's got strong hands to be able to put that on tightly. As I said, we don't want dressing all over our kitchen. And then the fun part where everybody gets to shake it up. You really can't over shake it. So everybody gets a chance. We don't want to have any fighting, especially in the kitchen.
Good physical activity opportunity there.
Yes, exactly. Or maybe some dance moves, however you really want to.
So while you're working on that, I wanted to acknowledge some questions about substitutions. 2 questions about substituting chives for scallions was one question, and another was substituting raisins for the dried cranberries, particularly pointing out that raisins are coming out in a lot of snack backpacks and from food pantries. So my thoughts are absolutely, use what you have to your taste, especially if you're substituting similar flavor profiles. Onions and chives are similar. Craisins and raisins have a similar sweetness that they add to the salad. So, or other dried fruit as well. I love Brenda Ream. Thank you for your comment about kids or giving foods fun names. A superpower salad is one she suggested as a name that helps kids get excited about trying new foods. And Pam, thank you for the comment too about pointing out that tearing lettuce with your hands is a great job for kids. That's one my kids are fairly young, and that's one I get them to do is tearing the lettuce with your hands. So when you start to break down a recipe by all the individual steps, you realize that there really are a lot of small little steps that even the youngest kids can participate in. So thanks. Keep those questions and comments coming, everybody.
And it's always nice to have a sous chef to help you out as well. So now is the fun part when we get to assemble. I've taken away my cutting board, so now we have a full view of the lovely, lovely green romaine lettuce that we've got there. So this is all chopped up. Now we get to do our salad bar. And as Krista mentioned, you can set this up as a salad bar, so where everybody can kind of add in whatever proportion of ingredients. So we're going to add in our apple there. I'm also loving the colors that come along here.
Beautiful.
Our apple, so I am going to add in the walnuts. No allergies here, but as we said, you can always switch that up or omit them altogether. Next, I'm just going down the recipe. Next is our cranberries or raisins, whatever you've got. Apricots, I think we had mentioned at one point when we were discussing this. Just look at how pretty it is. It's very, it's great colors and flavors and nutrients for winter.
Beautiful selection of food groups. We've got fruits, vegetables, and protein from the nuts in here. So
exactly.
Have a little milk and a slice of whole grain bread, and you've got yourself a meal.
We're going to put our green onions on there. And like we said, that could be chives or regular onions, whatever you've got. And last but not least is our dressing. So rather than pour all of this on, what I would recommend is that you would take out your serving and then put on whatever amount of dressing you would like. Just remember, a little bit goes a long way. We want our apple cranberry salad toss, not apple cranberry salad soup today. So that's a good one to just limit initially and then add more as you need it. And if you would like to keep this just as it is, this will store nicely in the fridge without the dressing on it. So just wait to dress it until you're ready to eat. And you can use whichever dressing. If your school meal comes with a specific dressing, go ahead and try that one out. Be creative with it. It's fun with salads. They can really go any direction that you want to take it.
Beautiful. Well, that looks good enough to eat. It is just about lunchtime. So, well, thank you for that, Jessica. Thank you for all of the comments in the thread. Amanda Hawkins points out that we're focused on students, but the elderly family members can benefit from this as well. From this type of presentation, serving, these recipes that we're presenting to serve to your kids as a way to stretch these school meal ingredients for additional meals that your kids can enjoy might inspire your cooking in other parts of your life. So thank you for that. Kara also commented about using orange segments and grapes and really just kind of, seeing what interests your kids when you combine fruits and vegetables in this way. So, well, I want to make sure that I put in my last plug for school meals, that if you have not been participating, if you have kids and you have not been participating in school meal distribution, make sure that you find out from your school district when and where you can pick up meals. Many of the school districts are distributing around in the 11 to 1 hour. Make sure you get the specifics before you go. So if you find out, if you hop off the Facebook Live and find out your school district is distributing today, you can go ahead and head out and pick up a meal for your kids. And if not, mark your calendar for the next day that they are distributing. So your school district's website is the best place to go for that information. You can also look at mdsummermeals.org for a full map of the meal distribution sites across the state. But for the most specific information, your school district is the best place to go. If you are experiencing any barriers to getting to your school meal sites, you talk to your school district. There might be some solutions that they've worked out for folks who are struggling with transportation. Their school districts really, I can't say this enough, they want you to participate. They want, families with students to come, and they don't have to be enrolled in the school system, but any child under the age of 18 can come get, their parents can come get a school meal for them. So any other parting words, Jessica, before we sign out?
I just want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope you get the chance to try out the apple cranberry salad toss or whatever version that you want to make of it. And if you do, be sure to snap a photo of it and send it on over to our Facebook page here. Let us know. Show off your skills and your school meals.
Absolutely. And any other ideas for using the school meal ingredients in creative ways to serve your kids, new twists on the foods that are coming in their school meals. We will be back here next Thursday at 11 a.m. We're going to keep this series going. So next Thursday at 11 a.m. for another recipe demonstrating creative ways to use school meals components in feeding your kids. So thanks so much to everybody who joined us, and thanks for all the comments. And we hope to see you back here next week. Bye-bye.